I'm still in bed. I feel really, really, I feel really, really tired. I don't want to get out of bed because I've got to go and have my meal in a minute. So yeah, I've got to get out of bed to go and have my meal. And I feel like really, really crap. Since I filmed earlier, I've just been sleeping, like on and off, really. So, I thought, I'll take this opportunity because there's something. Although I'm filming this on Saturday, you won't see this until Wednesday. These might be the 2 videos I've done this week. So you might not see this until Wednesday. But I thought I'd take the opportunity to answer one of the questions that you've asked me. I think there were 2 questions that you asked. One of which was, do I enjoy playing board games? The answer to that question is not really. No, I don't. I'm not really that into, with the one exception. I mean, when I was younger, I did enjoy playing Cluedo, because we often played that when we were on when I was with my parents and we were on holiday. I remember we often played Cluedo, which is a sort of mystery. It's a sort of detective game, really. I can't really remember what the game, exact rules of the game now because it's such a long time ago. But you have those little counters, different colours counters. Remember, like there's isn't there like Colonel Mustard, things like that. I do remember enjoying playing Cluedo. But generally speaking, apart from a few exceptions, there might be a few others, but they can't come to mind at the moment. I'm not really that into board games. Unless the rules have been explained to me. So what often happens, say if I go along, like for example, sometimes, or having a past, there's been a social group for people with autistic people near where I live, and often the focus of that is playing board games. But because it's not really explained to me clearly how to play the game, it's very frustrating because I'm often just sitting there not really knowing how to play and everyone else is playing and end up just switching off and finding it very boring. So it might not be to do with the fact that I'm not keen on playing board games. It's more likely that I need things to be explained to me very clearly in order to understand how to play the game, because often board games involve I don't know, things that don't come naturally to me, like sort of visual spatial skills and stuff like that. So often I like it if the rules are explained to me clearly, and then I can benefit and enjoy the game. That was one question. Such a headache. The other question I think one of you asked was about voluntary work and my experiences in that area. Currently, I don't do any voluntary work. Mainly, I mean, I might take it up again in the future. But currently, my life is quite. There's a lot I'm having to deal with at the moment, which I won't go into now, but that takes up a lot of energy, and I don't really have the mental space to do other stuff. When I was in my 20s, I did do quite a lot of voluntary work. And I think that's because I was still, my parents were still very much looking after me, and I didn't have many responsibilities at home. So it's easier for me to devote my energies to doing voluntary work, whereas now it's harder because I have to multitask. I would have to combine it with everything else, and it just didn't become feasible and was causing me too much stress. But you never in future, when I've kind of settled down or become, a bit more confident and stuff, I might consider doing it again. Some of the things I've done really in the past, mainly volunteering at charity shops. So the very first volunteering I did, which was actually in my late teens when I was still at school, I volunteered at Oxfam because my dad knew the manager. So I used to volunteer there. He helped me get a place there. All I did was I just steamed for clothes. It was very basic. It was mainly just in the back room, priced the clothes. It's all quite straightforward, really. But I enjoyed that, and the manager was really, really very nice and very sympathetic to me. There were actually two people in charge. I got on better with the deputy one, who was really, really nice. The other one, her senior, was nice as well, but could sometimes be not always very understanding about my needs. And bearing in mind, this was before I was diagnosed, and I think she often got a bit impatient, like, for example, when I didn't fold bags the right way, or when I was told how to do something and I didn't always do it correctly. I certainly back then, I didn't always have, I guess you'd call it, common sense. So I sometimes do like silly things and get, having a bit in a fluster. I can't quite remember. It's such a long time ago now, but anyway, but the deputy manager was I really liked her, and when I got diagnosed and everything, she was really supportive as well. And also when there was a time when my OCD got really bad, and I had to leave for a while, and I couldn't really explain things to her, but I ended up writing a letter to her. She was really understanding. I think she's retired now, but yeah, I have good memories of that when I was there. It just goes to show that if you're with supportive people who understand you, bearing in mind this was before I was diagnosed, but just someone there who just understands you, understands your needs, I think is just really important. And I think that's part of the reason why I was at Oxfam for a long time, quite a number of years, mainly Saturdays to begin with. I increased it to a few other days a week, so it's just deeming and pricing and things like that. But I stopped doing it because my OCD, I had a bit of a dip with my OCD. It got really bad at one point. Now it's also just going through diagnosis and stuff like that, and things got a bit bad. So so I stopped. I also, for a time, I volunteered at a local cinema, collecting people's tickets and guiding people to their seats. That was fun. When I did it, that was also quite good because I could choose what films I did, so I could do as many or as little as I wanted. So that was good because it worked around my needs. But again, the only reason I stopped doing that was, unfortunately, again, OCD. Unfortunately, it's quite a bummer because it got quite bad, and and I was getting quite triggered there quite a few times, which is a real shame because otherwise I would maybe still be doing it. But you never know. Like, if my mental health issues get better, you never know in the future. I might consider doing it again. You never know. You never know these things. They can change. I also volunteered at an art gallery when I was younger as well. I am considering maybe starting doing that again, because that was good because it's a very quiet art gallery. It does involve some social interaction, but very limited, and it's in a very quiet environment, and everyone's nice there. It never really gets crowded or anything. Mainly a lot of it is just sitting around, really, because you're just really there for security. Occasionally you answer people's questions, and show them where things are, that sort of thing. But it's very limited interaction. And also Age UK, I volunteered there for over 5 years, and that was every week for 4 hours. I did a till, and while I was there, I say it was a good experience and I enjoyed it. Sadly, the people there who worked there were really nice as well and very accommodating, and I got on with them, which always helps, as I say. They were very nice people. Sadly, sadly, one of them had to leave, and I think I was used to two of them being there because they kind of complemented each other. So I'm not sure if that's why I left, but I think it might have been one of the reasons because it was quite a change, getting used to just one person. I think. Oh yeah, and then he got a new person there who was nice as well, but it takes me time to get used to this, and also I was finding life was just getting on top of me. That's a way, more responsibilities, more stress. I just found that I needed space to. I was finding it was making me too stressed at that point in time in my life, and also I felt that I'd been doing it long enough, and it was time to move on. I think because when I was doing it, I really enjoyed it, and it was a great experience. But it's only eventually you think, do I want to be on the till all my life, doing it every week? But while I was doing it, I really did enjoy it. But there comes a time when I think you just want the monotony maybe gets a bit grating. Like I said, I was there for just over 5 years, and I was hardly ever off. So I did a good shot while I was there. I guess that's the voluntary work I did the longest, and I think I was fairly good on the till once I got a hang of it, because it's quite basic, the tills these days. I wouldn't have been able to use the old tills because of my dyscalculia, but the new tills, even if a dyscalculic can use them, because you're not having to really do any calculations really. Your till does it all for you, so it's quite basic. It's really just like operating a computer. It's very repetitive. Once you know how to do it, anyone can do it, even someone with very bad basically a dyscalculia can do it. Yeah, so that was fine. I struggled just more with wrapping things up and stuff like that, but luckily, the manager helped because she was always behind the back, so she came out and helped with that because I'm not always very great at wrapping things. But yeah, you never know. I might consider going back and doing that sort of thing when I'm older. I might well reconsider doing it because you never know. I might think, oh, I'd like to go and do some charity shop work again. You never know these things. You never know. Oh yeah. I also helped set up an advocacy group for people with Asperger's. That was my main first sort of role. I say Asperger's. I actually prefer the term. We don't really say Asperger's anymore, do we? We say autistic people, but at the time it was it was still used. So the group was called. It was for people with Asperger's. Yeah, I actually got paid for that. Only a very, very small amount now. It was kind of permitted work, so I mean I could do it alongside claiming benefits, and it was only a couple of hours a week. But it's very minimal, a bit more than voluntary, but it wasn't really. I wouldn't say it's a proper job. It was very basic, and it was with a charity. And I did enjoy it when I did it, though. I mean, I helped set up this group, which is no mean accomplishment when you think about it. Obviously with help and support, but I managed to set up this group. I managed to contact quite a few people with Asperger's, and I started the initial group. So yeah, I was a facilitator. I supported a lot, but in the end, I had problems with organisation, I think, and it got really stressful because I think some people complained that I wasn't always following through on emails. I'm not great always at organisation, and then they wanted to have something where you're put in probation or something because you're not quite doing a job to the specifications or something. I thought it was actually quite unfair because I didn't feel I had enough support because it was down to my disabilities. I can't help the fact I'm not great at organisation, and I did feel it was rather unfair, particularly as I'd set up this group and I thought I did a really good job setting it up. And that's why I left, because I just didn't want to go down that route. I thought it was too stressful having to meet these targets, so I just thought, right, now's the time to leave. I don't want to go down that route. So I left on a good note. Yeah, and the group carried on going. I got a new facilitator. I've had a fair run of different facilitators now. The group's still going. They've now got a non-autistic facilitator. The other autistic ones they got didn't stay. I think it is quite difficult when you're autistic running a group as well. It's not the easiest thing. I found it difficult. So yeah, that's basically, I think, it really in terms of my very limited experiences. I had an awful experience next. This was before I was diagnosed. It was a temporary job, and this was before I was diagnosed and before I went on benefits and stuff because I didn't know the extent of my disability at the time. My parents were like, thought I should get a job, and they didn't quite realise the extent of my disability, and I think we were all a bit in denial, and I hated it. It was only on Saturdays, but I was screaming. I didn't want to go. My mum literally had to sort of like almost drag me there. It was absolutely hell on earth. I hated it. I couldn't do it. I hated it. They just wanted temps, you know. They didn't even look after the staff very well anyway. Yeah, it was like those temp, you know, jobs that you don't really, the morale was low, everyone's stressed, it's just temporary, and it was also around the Christmas time and it's really busy. Yeah, I hated that, god awful experience. Like I said, that's before I was diagnosed and before I knew how disabled I was, so, never again. I couldn't cope with that at all, it was awful. I kept on having to call in sick, like, make excuses because I couldn't do it. Yeah, that was not good. So anyhow, so I hope I've explained a little bit about my voluntary experiences. As I say, currently I'm not doing anything like that at present. There are a few groups I'm attending, but currently I'm not really attending anything at the moment just because my life has become quite stressful. But I'll talk about that in another video. I might start doing these things again when things have kind of calmed down a little bit. Anyhow, so that's the 2 videos for this week, and hopefully when I speak to you again the following week, I will be back on form. And I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Maybe some recipes or something. But anyway, I'm filming this on Saturday, but I'll be releasing this video on Wednesday. Okay, so thank you for watching.